Hi there, Year 4. Hope you are all well. Just to let you know, this is not a lesson. This is just me reading chapter 9 again for those that are answering your literal, your inference, or the big question. So this is just going to be reading through the chapter. Feel free to listen to me read it, and then if you, it would be a really good idea to then mute me, go back to the beginning, and then read through it yourself so you have a full understanding of the text. So let's get started. Oops, sorry, I've just forgotten to share my screen there. There we go. And so Edward Tulane became Susanna. Nellie sewed several outfits for him, a pink dress with ruffles for special occasions, a simple shift fashioned out of a flower-covered cloth for everyday use, and a long white gown made of cotton for Edward to sleep in. In addition, she remade his ears, stripping them of the pieces of fur that remained and designing him a new pair. 3 of those key words in that one sentence there. "Oh," she told him when she was done, "you look lovely." He was horrified at first. He was, after all, a boy rabbit and did not want to be dressed as a girl. And the outfits, even the special occasion dress, was so simple, so plain. They lacked elegance and artistry of his real clothes. So Edward is thinking that he doesn't really like these clothes because they're not only for girls, but they're also not very grand either, or not quite the quality that he's used to. But then Edward remembered lying on the ocean floor, the muck on his face, the stars so far away, and he said to himself, "What difference does it make, really? Wearing a dress won't hurt me." Besides, life in the little green house with the fisherman and his wife was sweet. Nellie loved to bake, and so she spent her day in the kitchen. She put Edward on the counter and leaned him up against the flour canister and arranged his dress around his knees. She bent his ears so that he could hear well. And then she set to work, kneading dough for the bread and rolling out dough for cookies and pies. The kitchen soon filled with the smell of baking bread and with the sweet smells of cinnamon and sugar and cloves. Cloves are like a spice that you put in sort of normally quite Christmassy things and give it a really nice smell. The windows steamed up, and while Nellie worked, she talked. She told Edward about her children, her daughter, Lolly, who was a secretary, and her boys, Ralph, who was in the army, and Raymond, who had died of pneumonia when he was only 5 years old. Pneumonia is a disease that you get when you get very, very cold and is potentially lethal, can potentially kill you. He drowned inside himself, said Nellie. "It is a horrible, terrible thing, the worst thing, to watch someone you love die right in front of you, and not to be able to do nothing about it. I dream about him most nights." Nellie wiped her tears with the back of her hands. She smiled at Edward. "I suppose you think I'm daft, talking to a toy, but it seems to me that you're listening, Susanna." And Edward was surprised to discover that he was listening. Before, when Abilene talked to him, everything seemed so boring, so pointless. But now the stories Nellie's told struck him as the most important thing in the world, and he listened as if his life depended on what she said. It made him wonder if some of the muck from the ocean floor had got inside his china head and damaged him somehow. In the evening, Lawrence came home from the sea, and there was dinner, and Edward sat at the table with the fisherman and his wife. He sat in an old wooden high chair, and while at first he was mortified, a high chair, after all, was a chair designed for babies, not for elegant rabbits. He soon became used to it. He liked being up high, looking out over the table instead of staring at the tablecloth, as he had in the Tulane household. He liked feeling a part of things. Every night after dinner, Lawrence said that he thought he would go out and get some fresh air, and that maybe Susanna would like to come with him. He placed Edward on his shoulder as he had that first night when he walked him through town, bringing him home to Nellie. They went outside, and Lawrence lit his pipe and held Edward there on his shoulder. And if the night was clear, Lawrence said some of the names of the constellations one at a time. Andromeda, Pegasus, pointing at them with his pipe. And constellations are the order of the stars in the sky, and they make different shapes and have different names. Edward loved looking up at the stars, and he loved the sounds of the constellation names. They were sweet in his ears. Sometimes, though, staring up at the night sky, Edward remembered Pellegrina, saw again her dark and glowing eyes, and a chill would go through him. Warthogs, he would think. Witches. Now, why is he thinking of warthogs and witches? Because of that story, remember, that he was read about the witch who turned the princess into a warthog for being so mean, and maybe he thinks it's reflecting a bit on his life. But Nellie, before she put him to bed each night, sang Edward a lullaby, a song about a mockingbird that did not sing, and a diamond ring that would not shine. And the sound of Nellie's voice soothed the rabbit, and he forgot about Pellegrina. Life, for a very long time, was sweet. And then Lawrence and Nellie's daughter came to visit. So guys, that was chapter 9 of Edward Tulane. We will see what happens with the daughter that comes to visit later in the week. For the moment, I would really recommend going back, muting me, and reading this again yourselves, either out loud or in your heads. Been an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.